Alright, hi kids, this is the lesson for day 93. You're seeing this for homework. We're getting a little bit ahead so we get more time in class to do activities and to make sure we practice and stuff. So what I would like you to do is just take your notes out, write down the title here, the day, and let's put day 93 and then this part right here, and then also your objective. Okay, so pause the video here. Alright, awesome. So now we're going to talk about parabolas, and what we're going to do is complete the square to derive the equation. So remember, complete the square was this idea where, let's say you had like x squared plus 6x is equal to whatever, 15? Let's put 16, okay? We could complete the square, right? And then we could, by completing the square, we take half of 6. Remember that. Half of 6 is 3. And 3 squared is 9. So we're going to add 9 to both sides. I'm going to add 9 here and add 9 here. And then, of course, this is a perfect square trinomial, so this becomes x plus 3 squared, right? Take the square root of x squared, put it here, and the half of 6, so you put it down here. Okay, and then over here we got 16 plus 9 is 25, and we could use that to take a square root of both sides. That was from before, so we're going to use the same concepts to complete the square, okay? So here are the steps for today. If you want to pause the video and write these down for me, please. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to show you a couple of these. That's all we're going to do is a couple, then you're going to try a few on your own. And then we'll come back tomorrow and do a little quiz, okay, at the beginning. I definitely want you to try these out. Here we go, numbers 1. Write the equation in vertex form. So remember how yesterday we talked about, or the last lesson we talked about how there were, we had like y is equal to a certain value, and it was y to the first and x squared, and then we have some of them were x to the first with y being squared. So on this one, I'm going to try to look for some hints here. We have x squared is by itself. We have an x squared with an x here, right? And then we got y to the first. It's all by itself, right? And then we got positive 4. So the first thing I want to do is isolate the x squared and the negative 2x. I'm just going to move that over to the well, actually, I keep it on one side here, and actually I'll move the other stuff over. So I'm going to subtract y on both sides. Let me use a different color here. And subtract 4. Okay. And when I do that, I get x squared minus 2x, and leave a little space, is equal to negative y minus 4. Okay. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the square. So I'm going to take half of negative 2, which is negative 1, and I'm going to square it. I'm going to add 1 here. I'll do that with a different color here. I'm adding 1 here, and I'm also going to add 1 here. Okay, when I do that, I get a perfect square trinomial here on the right or left side. We got x minus, not 2 squared, but x minus 1, because we take half of negative 2, right? X minus 1 squared, which is equal to negative y minus 3. Okay? The next thing I want to do is get y by itself. So I'm going to add y, because I want y to be isolated. So I'll add it to both sides. And this is like a big positive sign here. So it's going to be positive y plus x minus 1 squared, which is equal to negative 3. And of course we want y by itself, so I'm going to subtract this whole term, x minus 1 squared, on both sides. So it's going to be subtracting the x minus 1 squared term, all minus 3. I'm sorry, it's going to be minus 3 here. So we have y. These two cancel out, which is equal to negative x minus 1 squared, all minus 3. Okay, and we box our answer. And this is the vertex form. We know it's a parabola, and we know it opens down because if you look at the negative sign here, we have negative 1 as our a. Vertex is going to be at 1, negative 3. And we can graph it, okay? So that's how you do number 1. Alright? The big idea here, though, notice that y was originally by itself, and it's y to the first. You see that? And the other thing, if y is to the first, let's look at x. We got x squared at the beginning, and our final answer has x squared. So we know that y, notice that y needs to be by itself or isolated. So we have to figure out how to get that y by itself, okay? So that's number 1, okay? Number 2. Number 2 is very similar, except notice how on this one we have y squared, which means that x might be by itself, right? And we do have an x that's by itself. So I'm going to isolate all my y variables onto one side. So this time I'm just going to keep the x here. I'm going to add y squared to both sides and subtract 4y. And yeah, let's move it over here. So I'm going to add y squared here, subtract 4y here, and then bring it down. So y squared plus negative y squared plus y squared cancels out. We have a positive x here, bring that down. 4y minus 4y cancels out. Minus 8, bring that down. And we got 0 plus y squared minus 4y. Okay? And you're like, this looks weird. Don't worry, we're going to complete the square, except this time it's going to be here on the right side. So pretend that this whole right side was on the left. And of course we're going to take half of negative 4. What's half of negative 4? Negative 2. Negative 2 squared is positive 2. So I'm sorry, positive 4. So again, we get half of negative 4 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is positive 4. We're adding it here, and we're also going to add it to the other side. Okay? Remember, it doesn't matter how you set up your problem, it's the symmetric property. So we got x, negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4, which is equal to, this becomes a perfect square trinomial, so the square root of y squared is going to be y. Half of negative 4 is negative 2, and this is squared. Almost done here. We have to add 4 to both sides, and when we do that we get y is equal to the quantity of y minus 2 squared, all plus 4. Okay, and there's your answer. And you can clearly see, oh, this is supposed to be an x at the end. Let me fix that for you. I don't know why I put y there. It's supposed to be x. X is equal to, again, y minus 2 squared, all plus 4. Okay, and there's your final answer. So, what I'd like you to do, pause the video, write these down, of course, or hopefully you're writing them as I go. On this last one, you'll notice that x is by itself, so it's going to open, we have a is equal to 1, so it's going to open left or right. It's going to open right because a is equal to 1. And, yeah, we could graph this, okay? So what I'd like you to do, we're not graphing it today, we are just converting the equations. That's the goal for today's lesson. So what I'd like you to do right now, I want you to try these 4 on your own in your notebook without looking ahead for the answers. I'll present the answers. So please pause the video, try these out, and then continue the video when you're ready to go. Okay, so you should have tried all these out. Here we go. Here are the answers. So, take a look at these. Bring your questions tomorrow if you have any, and we will talk about them, okay? Thank you so much. See you tomorrow.